Am I the idiot? I feel very stuck on what to do or if I overreacted. I, female 24, have an older sister, 33F. I had my sons really young at 15 and 18 with my ex-boyfriend. My sister was already out of the house when I had my youngest, so she didn't do any childcare, not that I expected her to, just important for context. I'm really lucky to say that my ex is a very involved father, and we have an equal co-parenting schedule we decided out of court for years. We do 1 month on, 1 month off. We live in the same city, so this doesn't affect their schooling, and we've been doing it since we broke up at 18. I understand a month is a long time, but during the time they're away, I still see them by taking them to the park, doing drop-offs, movie dinner night, even sleepovers where they'll stay the night, and their dad does the same, so it's not like during that month we're no contact. We also do nightly FaceTimes. I do love that it gives me time to relax and be child-free, hang out with my boyfriend friends spontaneously, even get to go out of town if I want. I still get to live as a young adult, and so does my ex, which is why we agreed to the schedule at all. It's raised controversy if I mention it to other moms because they always say they can never go away from their children for so long and make me feel like a shitty mom because I have fun during my month off. It's why I don't really mention it often to other moms. Anyways, my older sister just welcomed her first baby last year, and it was amazing. We aren't the closest because of our age gap, but it did bring us closer. Her husband and her separated a few months after his birth, and she's been doing it all alone ever since. With the job market how it is, it took her months to even land an interview, but she got the job. Sadly, childcare in our area is $2,000 a month, and she can't afford it, so either the paternal grandmother or I watch him during the week. Our mom would do it, but she had to return to work last year to pay the bills she can't. Luckily for me, I had my mom to watch the boys when I was underage and when I moved out, but I don't have to worry about childcare since I work from home, and my boys are in school now. I don't mind watching my nephew. My sister goes in at 6 and gets off at 2, so it doesn't take up much of my day, and I usually do it 2 or 3 times a week, so it's not too constant. On Thursday, when my sister dropped my nephew off, she had to go downstairs because she forgot his diaper bag and left her purse and phone behind. I live on the 8th floor, so she was gone for around 5 minutes. When she left, her phone rang, and since it was our mom, I answered it to say hello. During the call, I see a notification pop up of someone liking a message my sister sent. It said, "It's crazy how she can watch my son for me, but when it comes to hers, she doesn't care. I could never go to Jamaica to celebrate a man's birthday when I could be with my kids instead. Deadbeat moms are worse than dads." It shocked me so much I screenshotted it. My boyfriend's birthday is next weekend and we're going to Jamaica for a week. It's my son's time with their dad. When my sister came back upstairs, I acted normal. She said bye and left. I thought about it a lot and I got more pissed off. Why should I be shamed because I don't have to do it alone? How am I comparable to a deadbeat dad like her husband, who hasn't seen their son in months with no contact? Here I am doing her a favor, saving her $2,000 a month she doesn't have, all to be insulted in a group chat with people I don't know? When she came to get my nephew, I confronted her. At first she denied it until I showed her the screenshot. Then she said it's out of context, so I said to show me the full convo then, and she refused. She said sorry but didn't seem sorry at all. She just wanted to leave. I asked her to explain how I'm a deadbeat. Then she broke down in tears, saying that she's a single mom since she receives no help, and I am barely a mom, so I don't understand how she feels. I told her to leave, and she did. Once she left, I called her and told her I wasn't going to be watching my nephew anymore. I didn't want to tell her in person because I know she'd try to guilt-trip me with even more tears. She sent me over 50 texts when I wouldn't answer her calls, begging me to answer and that she's so sorry and this wasn't supposed to happen, and she regrets it. She said she needs me to watch him since his other grandma can't every day, and that if she gets fired, she'll be out of a job again for months and won't be able to afford her bills. I didn't reply. Now my mom and cousins are all blowing up my phone telling me I'm a huge jerk and to change my mind and accept her apology. I feel used and disrespected, but also do feel a bit bad since she does need the childcare. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the jerk. It's not your responsibility to care for someone else's child, and if she doesn't have any kind of backup, that is simply on her. Her child has a dad, so she can spend some of her upcoming time unemployed taking him to court for child support. At the end of the day, she does think you're a deadbeat mom and is jealous that you have more freedom and options than she does as a woman in her 30s. But she needs your help or she won't be able to keep her job, so she played nice to your face. Really evil behavior, to be honest. You're not in the wrong at all here. Your mom and cousins and whoever else can talk all their shoot, but I'm guessing none of them are stepping up to help babysit, now are they? Comment 2. Not the jerk. How dare your sister? Sure, you maybe shouldn't have touched her phone at all. And when we look at things we shouldn't, we sometimes get our feelings hurt. And a phone is tantamount to a diary journal today. However, it was innocent, and you weren't going through her phone. She has a lot of nerve to talk shoot about you behind your back like that, when you have done her such a huge favor. Your agreement with your ex is none of her business, and if it works for you and your kids, she needs to save the judgment. Don't fold. She made this mess, and now she has to deal with it. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my previous post. It's been a week since everything went down with my sister, and I wanted to give you all an update on what's been happening. After I confronted my sister about the message she sent and told her I wouldn't be watching my nephew anymore, things got pretty intense. She kept calling and texting me, apologizing and begging me to change my mind. My mom and cousins were also blowing up my phone, telling me I was being a jerk and that I should just accept her apology. I tried to ignore it all and focus on getting ready for my trip to Jamaica with my boyfriend, but it was hard. I couldn't stop thinking about what my sister had said and how hurt I felt. I mean, here I was doing her a huge favor by watching my nephew and saving her thousands of dollars in childcare costs, and she had the nerve to call me a deadbeat mom behind my back. As I was packing my bags, I started thinking about our childhood and how things had always been a bit strained between us. With our age gap, we were never super close, but I always tried to be there for her when I could. I remembered how excited I was when she told me she was pregnant and how I promised to help out however I could. But then I thought about how she had reacted when I had my own kids. She was already out of the house by then, so she didn't really see firsthand how hard it was for me. I was just a teenager trying to figure out how to be a mom while also finishing high school. My ex and I did the best we could, but it was tough. I realized that maybe my sister had always resented me a bit for having my mom's help when I was younger. She had to do everything on her own, without any support from her ex or our mom. I could understand why she might feel like I had it easier than her. But still, that didn't give her the right to talk shoot about me behind my back. I was doing my best to be a good mom to my boys and a good sister to her. I deserved better than that. The day before my trip, my sister showed up at my door, looking like a mess. She had my nephew with her and a bunch of his stuff. She started crying and apologizing again, saying she didn't mean what she said and that she was just stressed out and overwhelmed. I let her in, and we talked for a while. She admitted that she had always been a bit jealous of me and the way I was able to co-parent with my ex. She said she wished she had that kind of support and that it was hard doing everything on her own. I told her I understood how she felt, but that it wasn't fair to take it out on me. I reminded her of all the times I had been there for her, even when it wasn't easy for me. I said I loved her and my nephew, but that I needed to be able to trust her and feel respected. She apologized again and said she would do better. She asked if I would still be willing to watch my nephew sometimes, and I said I would think about it. In the end, I decided to give her another chance. I know how hard it is to be a single mom, and I don't want my nephew to suffer because of our issues, but I also set some clear boundaries with her. I told her that if she ever talked about me like that again, I would be done for good. It's been a few days since then, and things are still a bit tense between us. But we're trying to move forward and focus on what's best for our kids. I know it won't be easy, but I'm hopeful that we can rebuild our relationship and be there for each other in the way we both need. Anyway, that's the latest. Thanks for listening and for all your support. It means a lot to me. Am I the idiot for not paying for the boat trip after my husband wanted to exclude my older kids? I have 3 kids from my previous relationship, ages 10, 13, and I have a 10-month-old with my husband. I work from home managing my own business and pay half of the bills. I also homeschool my 3 older kids because their school shut down a few months ago after the roof collapsed during our last big snowstorm. I do all the cooking and at least 80% of the chores. The kids do the rest. The only chore my husband has is garbage, laundry once a week, and grocery shopping every other week. Since roughly December, my husband has been incredibly depressed, but won't manage it in a healthy way, despite me urging him to get help. He's just been isolating and defensive. He works from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., gets home around 4:30, eats dinner, and hangs out with the kids for maybe half an hour. He then goes to the garage or his truck to decompress. He comes back inside around 8 p.m. to help me get the kids in bed. He then either jumps on his computer or watches YouTube on his phone until he goes to sleep. Pretty much every single weekend since March, he has been going out with his buddies as well. So typically, the only day he's actually home is Sunday, and usually either his buddies ask him for help with their vehicles, or he runs his errands, going to the dump, fixing his vehicle, helping his mom, etc. So realistically, my kids and I only have his attention for at most an hour a day, if that, even on his days off. Him and I have, unfortunately, gotten into at least 3 fights since December because of his lack of attentiveness and his constant excuse of, I worked all day week and need time to myself. It's truly just the lack of empathy that drives me insane because I have 0 breaks, ever. But he still feels like he should be entitled to more and more breaks as the days go on. So we have fought about it. I will bring it up calmly and he will get defensive and blow up and pull the repetitive, I worked all freaking day talk. The last big fight we had, a couple of weeks back, I told him I was leaving. I started packing. He begged me to stay and said he would try to be better and suggested we rent a boat for this past weekend, so we could all reconnect and have a nice family weekend. I ultimately forgave him because he showed a lot of effort after that. When he would get home from work, he was present. He didn't go out during the weekend with his buddies as he had been. We went on a few walks together, just us and the kids. Collectively, we were still only getting to hang out with him for maybe 1.5 hours, but he was inside and more present either way. I thought things were looking up. Well, he paid the down payment, half the cost, of the boat 2 weeks ago when we discussed it, and I was due to pay the other half upon picking the boat up this past Friday. However, he told me on Thursday night that he decided that he didn't want my older children to go. He asked me if I would have my mom watch my older children so it could just be me, him, and the baby on the boat. I asked him why, and he said, because I need a break from the kids. So I was pissed and snapped back, oh, you mean you need a break from your stepkids? Your kid is fine, but let's push my kids away because you need a break from them. He said, I'm making a big deal out of nothing, but I don't think I did. The kids knew about the trip and were excited. If I dropped my older kids off with my mother and still brought the baby out because my husband decided he needed a break from them, they would be extremely hurt. He kept saying, we can bring them next time, but I told him no thanks and said I wouldn't be paying the other half of the boat cost. He can either pay it and bring out his buddies, or he can forfeit the money he put into it already, as it was non-refundable. I didn't end up paying and he lost $450. He is still pissed at me, stating that I made a mountain out of a molehill, but I don't think I did. He is hardly near my kids ever, so him needing a break from them and not his kid is absolutely freaking wild to me. Am I the idiot? ETA. He was not like this before he got depressed. My older children's father passed away during deployment when I was pregnant with my 10-year-old. I got together with my husband when my 10-year-old was 1, and he was always a kick-ass father figure. He refused to do anything without me and the kids. Calls my kids his children. When he got depressed around Christmas time, everything changed. He will get better for a week or 2 and then go right back into the cycle. I have tried urging him to get help, and he will be receptive momentarily and then switch back. He first stated that it was because he was terrified of being a shoot father, his dad was hurtful. Now the only excuse he uses is, I worked all day week, and that he needs time to himself. He still, to this day, talks to his father at least twice a week. He was not abused by his dad. His trauma is watching his mom and brother be abused. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. But this is one of those times where an ultimatum will be necessary. Get help or get divorced. I find it odd that he's afraid of being a shitty dad, but he wants to take the baby on the boat. Does he have something against your kids, or did his trauma come around the age of your kids? These are questions that need professional intervention to get to the bottom of, especially if his demeanor changed so drastically. Comment 2. Not the idiot way to go for standing up for all of your children. We see so many parents on here that ditch their kids the second they get their do-over. Your husband was finally honest with you. Believe him. Your kids will not be safe, loved, or happy in a home with him. You need to divorce this fool. Just wish he could have been honest to begin with so you didn't have to make a kid with him or marry him. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments and support on my last post. It's been a tough few days since I last updated you all. The day after I refused to pay for the boat rental, my husband came home from work and barely said a word to me or the kids. He grabbed a beer from the fridge and went straight to the garage, slamming the door behind him. The kids looked at me with confusion and hurt in their eyes, but I tried to reassure them that everything would be okay. Later that night, after the kids were in bed, I went out to the garage to try and talk to him. I found him sitting in his truck, scrolling through his phone. When I tapped on the window, he barely glanced up at me before saying, "What do you want?" I took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. "We need to talk about what happened with the boat rental. I know you're upset, but I think we need to discuss why you didn't want my older kids to come along." He sighed heavily and put his phone down. "I told you, I just needed a break from them. It's not a big deal." I felt my frustration rising. It is a big deal to them and to me. They were excited about this trip, and now they feel like you don't want them around. And what about our baby? Why is it okay for him to come but not my other kids? He shook his head and looked away. "I don't know, okay? I just thought it would be nice for us to have some time alone with the baby. Is that so wrong?" I could see the pain and confusion in his eyes, and I realized that there was more going on here than just the boat rental. No, it's not wrong to want time alone with your family, but my older kids are part of this family too, and they deserve to feel included and loved. He was quiet for a moment, and then he said softly, "I know. I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me lately. I feel like I'm failing as a husband and a father, and I don't know how to fix it." I reached out and took his hand. "You're not failing, but you do need help. I know you're struggling with depression, and I want to support you through this, but you have to be willing to take the first step and get the help you need." He nodded slowly, and I could see tears in his eyes. "I know. I'll call my doctor tomorrow and make an appointment, I promise." I squeezed his hand and smiled. "Thank you. That means a lot to me and to the kids. We all love you and want you to be happy and healthy." The next day, he followed through on his promise and made an appointment with his doctor. He was prescribed medication and referred to a therapist who specializes in depression and trauma. It's only been a few days, but I can already see a small change in his demeanor. He's been more present with the kids, and he even apologized to them for his behavior lately. I know we still have a long way to go, but I'm hopeful that with the right support and treatment, my husband can start to heal and find his way back to the loving, attentive father and partner he used to be. It's not going to be easy, but we're in this together, and I'm determined to do whatever it takes to keep our family strong and united. Thanks again for all your support and advice. It means more than you know. Am I the idiot for refusing to pay for my partner's ex's share of private school fees? Context. I, 30 years old, have been with my partner, 36 years old, for 4 years, and we have a 2-year-old child together. I have 5-year-old twins, full-time custody as their dad passed away, and he has 2 children, 7 years old, 12 years old, who he has 50-50 custody of. I was brought up in a pretty wealthy family where me and my siblings attended private school, and this was something that I valued and wanted any future children of mine to attend also. My twins are now finishing their first year of school at the private school I attended. I pay for their tuition, and my husband knew they would be going as I made it very clear that I valued this. He also agreed that it is a good investment and would want our child to attend also, paying half each when the time comes. His children do not attend a private school, but attend highly ranked public schools. Since the twins started school, his ex has been causing issues and saying that it is unfair, and showing favoritism that my children attend a better school than theirs. My husband agreed, and they applied for the same school. But when time came to accept the offer, BM changed her tune and could no longer afford to pay her half. Note that my husband pays alimony and child support totaling to almost 50% of his wage, and we pay for most other miscellaneous expenses. My husband asked if I would pay for her half, and I said no. Ever since this happened, he has been distant and accuses me of not loving his children enough and treating them differently. Yes, I could afford the other half, but I don't feel that it is my responsibility. I never asked my husband for any financial help towards the upbringing of my children, and wouldn't expect that of him. I felt confident in my decision to refuse, but his constant negativity, the comments from his ex, and judgment from his family for not paying are making me doubt myself. Am I in the wrong here? ETA. I have offered to pay some of the fees. I offered for all of us to sit down and discuss finances and abilities to contribute. This was refused, and BM shut down and began refusing to pay any of the fees. The situation could have been avoided had discussions like these been had prior to application. I was not involved in, only informed of the application, as they are not my children, so it was none of my business. But it is now all my business when they want me to pay for the entire thing. I'm going to talk to SO and see if BM wants to open discussions, and maybe something can be arranged for the next enrollment. Also, lots of comments assuming my contributions to the family, or that I am treating his children poorly. I have made comments, but I'm just going to include it in the post to save repeating myself. I pay 80% of all finances. I pay for our holidays and day trips, all of which we arrange during our time with SKs. I am also the sole contributor to their college funds currently. I completely take on board comments about how the children might feel, as ultimately I think this is the most important thing. Conversations with them have ended in them expressing not wanting to move away from friends, 12 years old especially, or being neutral either way. This is absolutely something BM pushed for and led, and had she been open from the start, I am sure something could have been arranged. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I read your comment history. Why exactly are you married to this man again? You are paying 80% of the bills, paying for your 2 kids by yourself, and putting money in his kids' college funds while he refuses to pay for yours. I'm starting to think your husband met his sugar mama and is a gold digger. And why is your husband paying alimony if his ex-wife works a full-time job? Comment 2. Tell him to pull his head out of the sand and realize she did this on purpose to cause strife in your relationship. She was never going to pay for her half, not the idiot. If you do this, it will not end. She will ask for more and more. Absolutely not. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a while since my last post and a lot has happened in the past 3 months. After my husband's constant negativity and accusations of not loving his children enough, things really started to go downhill between us. He became more and more distant, spending less time at home and more time at his ex's place. I tried to talk to him about it, but he just shut me out, saying I didn't understand and that I was being selfish. Meanwhile, his ex ramped up her efforts to make me look bad. She started spreading rumors around town that I was a gold digger who only cared about my own kids. She even went as far as to tell their kids that I didn't love them and was trying to keep them away from their dad. It was heartbreaking to see the confusion and hurt on their faces when they started asking me if it was true. I tried to stay strong and not let it get to me, but it was tough. I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells, trying not to say or do anything that could be misconstrued, but no matter what I did, it seemed like I couldn't win. Things really came to a head when my husband missed our child's birthday party. He had promised to be there, but at the last minute he called and said he couldn't make it because his ex needed him to watch the kids. I was furious and hurt, but I tried to keep it together for our child's sake. After the party, I confronted my husband about his behavior. I told him that I couldn't keep living like this, constantly being made to feel like the bad guy. I reminded him of all the times I had been there for his kids, taking them on trips and contributing to their college funds. But he just brushed me off, saying that it wasn't the same as being their real mom. That's when I realized that maybe this wasn't going to work out. As much as I loved my husband and his kids, I couldn't keep sacrificing my own happiness and well-being. I suggested that we try couples therapy, but he refused, saying that he didn't have time for that nonsense. So I made the difficult decision to move out with my kids. It wasn't easy, and there were a lot of tears and tough conversations, but I knew it was the right thing to do. I found a small apartment nearby and started the process of separating our lives. Of course, his ex was thrilled when she found out. She wasted no time in telling everyone that I had abandoned my husband and his kids, conveniently leaving out the part where she had been actively trying to sabotage our relationship for months. It's been a few weeks now since I moved out, and while it's been tough, I'm starting to feel like I can breathe again. My kids are adjusting well to the new situation, and I'm focusing on being the best mom I can be for them. As for my husband, we're still in contact for the sake of our child, but things are strained. I hope that with time and distance, we can find a way to co-parent effectively, but I know it won't be easy. Looking back, I realized that there were a lot of underlying issues in our relationship that we never really addressed. My husband's guilt over not being able to provide the same opportunities for his kids as I could for mine, his ex's resentment and jealousy, and my own insecurities about my place in his life. I wish we had been able to work through these issues together, but sometimes, despite our best efforts, things just don't work out the way we hoped. All I can do now is focus on moving forward and creating a happy, stable life for myself and my kids. Thanks for reading and for all your support during this difficult time. It means more than you know. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.